Good evening. Tonight we'll be doing 8.2 and you can start on page 396, read problem 1 and press play when you're ready. So the table here shows the data gathered from measuring the heights of different size stacks of the various plastic containers. And then about the question and the data, what are the variable quantities in this problem? What quantities depend on the other? Answer those two and press play when you're ready. So far, you should have the variable quantities in this problem situation are the number of containers and the stack height for both round and square containers. What quantity depends on the other? The stack height depends on the number of containers. Let's go to the next page. Page 397, number 3 says create a graph for each container's shape stack height in the terms of the number of containers used. Determine the bounds and intervals and complete the table shown. Be sure to label your graph clearly. Number of containers and stack height. Take a second, look back at our chart here. Make sure you fill in your chart. So if you want to see the chart there, look at the chart. Think about the lower bound and upper bound and press play when you're ready. Alright, so looking at my chart here, I start with one container, and then at 1, a round is 9 and a square is 15. We practiced today on 8.1 that a good lower bound is 0. So let's do for both of our lower bounds 0. And then for an upper bound, for the number of containers, let's look back at the number of containers. Number of containers up to 7. If we round up for that, let's do 10 for number of containers. And then the highest number here is 17. Let's round that up and have an upper bound of 20. So we have 10 here and then 20 here. And what could I count by? This afternoon we counted by 20s. Well, this goes into 10 and this into 10, so let's count by 10. So that would have an interval of 1 and this would have an interval of 2. So let's go ahead and press pause and graph the graph. Answer the question, did you connect the points or not? Why or why not? And then number 5 as well, and press play when you're ready. Alright, so your graph should look similar to this. Make sure that you label your axes, and then for number 4 you should not connect the points because the problem is dealing with plastic containers and there cannot be part of a plastic container. Like if you were counting students, you wouldn't have 1.5 students because you can't count half of people. Number 5, we can check that in class tomorrow. I don't want to give you all the answers. Alright, so number 5 should already be done. On the next page here, let's have you try 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, answering different questions about the square containers and the round containers and their differences there. So do all of page 398, and when you're ready, press play. Alright, on the screen you can find the answers for 9 and 10. We can check 5, 6, 7, and 8 in class. For 9, adding 1 round container to the stack adds 0.8 of a centimeter to the stack height, and then 10 you can press pause and kind of look over what I did here and check and make sure your answer is similar, and then let's go to the next page. Alright, number 11 says determine the stack height for 6 and then 7 round and square containers, then complete the table and graph. Explain your strategy. Alright, so I have my graph pulled up here to answer question 11, and it said for 6 and 7. So if I looked at 6, there's that one, and a circle means round container and the square is the square container. So I could look here. I would say that the way the data falls, that at 6 for circle, that's going to be 13, and then the square is 17, and then maybe here 17.5. because it's up just a little bit more, and then using the graph I would say it's not quite 14, maybe 13.8. So you can explain on number 11 how you use the graph to find your answers and what you approximate 6 and 7 to be. So do that and we can go over those tomorrow. All right, make sure you try number 12 on your own so we can go over that. So press pause and press play when you're ready. All right, your answer should be similar to mine. You can read over this, press pause, and play when you're ready to move on to question 13. Try 13 and 14 and check over 12. Do that now. All right, so 13 says, what does R1 represent if you use R to represent the number of containers in a stack of round containers? So I have R minus 1, and R represents the containers in the stack of round containers. So R minus 1 would be what's in the stack. So whatever it is, minus 1. So you can write out whatever's in the stack minus 1. And then 14 says let H represent the stack height. So we have the entire height. And write an equation that represents the stack height. So we would have 9 plus the 0.8, because that's how the height of the round there, and then times how many rounds we have, but not really, it's how many rounds we have minus 1, because the first one's going to be 9 there. So work out that equation to make sure you can make sense of that so you can answer the next questions. On page 400 for homework to bring tomorrow, I would like you to try 15, 16, 17, and 18, so this whole page. And then on the next page, just number 20. So 15, 16, 17, 18. You may skip 19 and then do number 20. Bring that with you, and we will see you tomorrow.